Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to this live interview with Melissa Hidrobo. I'm so excited to have her here because she's going to talk about why your why is so important. Finding your why. Yes, and so Melissa used to be, I find it really fascinating. I've never met anybody that used to be in the luxury industry. Um, and then she left it. So Melissa, welcome. Thank you for being here. And
Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm very excited to be here.
yeah, and if anybody's watching this, please feel free to comment. Let us know that you're here. You can tell us where you're coming from and ask your questions, or if you're watching the replay, just type in replay. So, okay, so Melissa, when you told me your story, I found it really fascinating. And so I'm just going to ask you, can you share with us what your journey was coming from this corporate, right? Corporate in a luxury industry, like very, I can only imagine, fancy handbags and jewelry and all the things to, to what you're doing now, which is, basically, mentoring women, coaching women on helping them to find their purpose, what their true purpose is, what their true calling is. So, yeah, share with us your journey.
Okay. So ever since I was maybe 5, 6 years old, I had a love of Europe and especially of France and of the French language and culture. And the reason why I knew about that was because I had two aunts on my father's side of the family who had their own luxury boutique in Ecuador, where they're from. And they would travel to Europe, they would go to Italy and France, and they would go into the ateliers and buy fashion and bring it back to Ecuador, and they would tell me their stories, and I was fascinated. So fast forward to after I graduated from college, I went to Paris to my dream program to get an MBA specialized in international luxury brand management, and then landed my first position in luxury, in the luxury industry, actually in retail. I've always worked in a boutique in Miami. That was back in 2006. And I thought, like, I'm going to live my dream life. And I worked in that industry for about 17, 18 years, let's say shy of 20 years. And yes, there was times when it was very exciting. But while everything looked perfect on the outside, it looked like I had this great job, a great position. If I would be on the phone with somebody because I was calling the bank, and I would be on hold, or they would ask me, where do you work? And I would say the brand that I was working for at that time. People would get excited. So everybody thought it was a dream job. But for me, something always felt off. I was just spending too much of my personal time just being consumed by my career, bringing my work home with me, entertaining clients after work. Since I was working in a boutique and in Miami, which we catered to tourists, we would close the boutique maybe at 9, or if a client was in the boutique, it would be 9:30, 10 p.m. at night. So I was working holidays, weekends, and I really didn't have any time for the important things in life, which for me are family, friends, wellness, passions, different passions that I have, travel. And it got to a point where I was working in one of the companies and I was just observing everything around me, and the way that my superiors dedicated themselves as well. And I said to myself, this is not the life that I want to lead for the rest of my life. I remember specifically one day after work, just sitting on the couch and having this conversation with myself and saying, okay, but what am I going to do? Because that's a question that I hear a lot, especially from my colleagues in the luxury industry, that are feeling the same way that I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that they want to be doing something else, but they're not sure what. And the other side of it is that working in this industry can be very lucrative. So there's a fear also of leaving that financial stability and that lifestyle. And I have a personality where, I always wanted to get into a good company and work myself up. in that company. And I never thought that I would be the type of person to just one day leave my job. When I went through this thought process, I answered some questions. Basically, okay, so if I went back to school, what would I study? Without thinking about the financial aspect, just basically what ignites my soul. I also thought about what skill set that I have that's transferable to a new career and what lifestyle do I want to live in the future. It didn't take too long for me to realize that with my interest and my skill set and the way that I wanted to serve people, and the lifestyle that I wanted to have, that I wanted to be a life and spiritual coach, which later turned out to be life purpose and spiritual enrichment. So after that, I got a roadmap together, basically my plan of how I was going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me about 3 years working on my roadmap to pretty much be complete with it. And I actually pretty much left my job on a whim. I didn't plan on my roadmap. I didn't have a date where I was going to exit my job. I was just going to say, what happened in life. And one day I said to myself, I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, and I have nothing left to give. And if I stay in my current position for another 30 days, it's going to be detrimental to my well-being. And it was pretty much already not in a good place.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to give my notice. Thank goodness that I was well into my roadmap and my plan and had completed a lot of things. One of that actually was my financial plan, because at that time, when I was having this conversation with myself, leaving my job was not something that I could do. So that's something that I was able to work on during those years as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I find it so interesting that I've had so many conversations with women who, I mean, as young women, we're told to go to college, we're told to get a good job. Women find themselves in the corporate world because it pays well, and we think it's going to give us security and all of this. And then they get in it, and it's like soul sucking, and um, what I see is just this. To me, it just looks like an awakening of, we're not willing to play this game anymore. Like, it actually does not nourish our souls. It doesn't support our physical bodies. It's like everything just feels totally out of tune, out of whack. And so I'm curious, like, if someone's coming to you and they're in that place where you were, where it's like, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, I know I can't keep living like this, and yet I don't even know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. How would you guide someone? What is it that they would need to hear in order to be able to begin to discover from the inside out, right? Because that's the transformation that you offer. It's like, okay, yeah, the reason why all these things don't work is because the outside in. We thought that, if we do all the things that we see on the outside that people tell us, and it looks great on the outside, but then you get in it and it doesn't feel good on the inside. Yeah, how do you guide someone?
The first thing is just holding a sacred space for them, because when we're so frazzled in our day-to-day, we really don't have time to think. We don't have time to disconnect. And that's a situation that I found myself in as well. And I know that there's other women that have something else that I didn't have, which was a family at home waiting for me. So really just a space for them to be able to step back and to just release what's on their mind and what's in their heart and soul, and to have somebody listen to them. So that's the first thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to that question of feeling overwhelmed, is really breaking down what's going on in their lives. Where are they feeling most impacted with that overwhelm? Where are they feeling stuck? Where are they feeling stagnant and unfulfilled? because not everybody has a story that I have. There's some people that really love their careers, but something else is going on at home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting, that's how we start, and then we start breaking it down into, okay, so what are the values that are important to you? Because it's so important to establish the values, because going forward from there, any decision or action that you make or take, you're going to want to check in with your values, and you're going to want to make sure that you're doing something that you really want to do. And if you're thinking about taking a step that doesn't align with your values, the question is, why would you consider it? We would also need to start exploring their passions. What really ignites their soul? What makes them feel excited and fulfilled? I know that a lot of us as young children were born into this world, and we have different passions, different things excite us. We want to explore different things. And then as we grow up, we get conditioned by our family, by our society, and things change. And a lot of times we leave those passions behind, and we're not doing what really fulfills our soul. So we need to take a look at that and define that and see, okay, so how can that be integrated into their lives? There's also limiting beliefs, beliefs that people hold about themselves that are not facts, but it really shapes our behavior, the actions that we take, and limits us as well to seeing our full potential. So we explore limiting beliefs and how to overcome those beliefs. And also, okay, so if I know now where I want to go or what changes I need to make, what obstacles am I going to have to face? And how do we overcome those obstacles? Then we get a roadmap together, and we want it to be very realistic. As we say, there's people that have a lot of demands on their plate. So we want to make it realistic, because what I see is that if we take small, consistent steps, even if it's 20 minutes each day, it really amounts to something, and it's less overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a little snippet of the process that we go through.
Yeah. Well, what I really like what you said is that, creating a roadmap, because it's one thing to have an idea of like, yeah, okay, let's say they are ready to leave their job and they have a passion that they're very clear. I know what I want to do. And so when you don't have the roadmap, I could see where someone could get knocked off center very quickly and very easily. And so I love that when I hear you speak and you talk about this roadmap, me as a listener, I'm like, oh, like that feels really good to my nervous system. Like having like a clear list of actionable steps that don't have to happen all at once, because I know for myself, that's kind of like my pattern. I think, oh, I have to figure out all at once. It's got to happen right now. And I don't have much time and, whatever, So having someone to kind of just take you by the shoulders, take a breath. Okay, we're going to do this one step at a time, um, just how effective that would be. Powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, it helps keep you accountable.
Mhm.
And just to have it on a piece of paper or in your computer, however you like to organize yourself, and check in with it.
Mhm.
And it's a roadmap also that, something that I encourage everybody to do is be gentle with themselves and have flexibility too, because life happens. And that roadmap can change as we're going through this process and you get to know yourself better. Things can change, and that's okay. So it can also be a flexible roadmap,
Right.
because the journey is a journey of discovery and transformation. And if you're creating the roadmap today, we really don't know what 2 weeks looks like, 2 weeks from now looks like, or 6 months from now looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see where someone initially thinks, oh, this is what I want to create. Um, I'm just going to make something up. Um, I want to run a bakery. Okay, great. Well, maybe the first step is to go try it out first. person tries it out, they're like, oh, actually, no, I don't like this. I don't want to do this, and so having to dig to find out exactly like, okay, because I think, so my husband and I, we have a dairy, and so often we get people that romanticize about an idea. So we'll get somebody that's like, like organic goat dairy. It sounds so like I get to just hang out with the animals and be in a beautiful scenery, and just seems like very pastoral, and then they get there and they're like, oh, this is hard work. And it's dirty, and sometimes goats don't cooperate, and all the other things, and so I wonder, have you ever worked with clients where that becomes something that you help them work through, or have you found it, generally speaking, that people are pretty clear in knowing what they want?
In the beginning, there's many people that are not clear.
Yeah.
But with the process, they get more clarity.
Mhm.
I haven't encountered anybody yet who has one of the drastic, like, this is what I really want to do, and then they're doing it and it's not for them. I
Yeah.
know it happens, and I'm sure one day I will encounter that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, once they find out what they want to do,
Yeah.
get their roadmap together, and they walk that path.
Right.
Now, because personal transformation and these type of changes take time, it's not something that will happen in most cases within like 3 months.
Okay.
You need more time to go through that transformation and to build whatever the new thing that they're building is.
Hmm. And what would that look like working with you? Is it through having conversations, journaling? Like, is there homework involved? Like, yeah.
Yes, all of that, all of that. So, for example, when they first sign up to work with me, they do get a workbook. It's a 6-step program. And the steps basically involve defining your values and finding your passions, overcoming obstacles and limiting beliefs. It could be tapping into your spirituality is another module that we do, because we want to make sure that everybody stays calm, because there are going to be roadblocks, there's going to be ups and downs. So how do you navigate that? So we like kind of get this spiritual toolkit together. Then there's the creation of the roadmap. There's a module as well as, okay, so you've been on this route for about a month and a half. How are you feeling? What do we need to tweak? So what I ask them to do is to complete each chapter in the workbook before they come to their coaching session with me. And I follow the coaching standards of the International Coaching Federation, where we believe that everybody already has the answers inside of them. So instead of me feeding my client information, it's more about asking the right questions to bring out that information from inside of them. And a lot of people already know the answers, but they have fear in taking that step. Or the answers are inside of them, but it's in their subconscious. But we need to find a way to bring it out.
Yeah.
So when they come to each of their coaching sessions, I have programs of different lengths. So there's like a 3-month, a 6-month, depending on what the client wants to do. So when they come to each of their coaching sessions, it's the client who will always decide what they want to talk through in that session, which is why I have them do the workbook first, a module at a time, so that they can already think and go through part of this process on their own and kind of stir up what they have in mind and bring that to the coaching session with, I've been grappling with this, or I really want to dig more into that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And as you asked, yes, also in the spiritual aspect, and because I studied transpersonal psychology with a focus in spirituality, it's very close to my heart. So we work through what works for the client. Is it nature walks? Is it I should exercising, but I'm not? Journaling, meditation, mindfulness, dream work, interpreting your dreams, getting messages from the dreams that are arising each night.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on the interest of the client. I don't have anything like a set standard with that. I
Mhm.
just bring it to the table and see what resonates with the client.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Um, so in like finding your why, I'm curious if you could talk about that more specifically because I hear that a lot from coaches. Like, you have to have a why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Is your why the same thing as values or is it something else?
I think values make up part of your why,
Yeah.
but your why encompasses so much more. So life purpose is part of spiritual coaching because the question is, why are we here? Why am I here? What am I meant to do in this life? Why was I born? And what motivates me to get up every day? What's going to make me feel fulfilled? Does that include service to others? So when it comes towards to the why, it's not something that will necessarily jump out at you. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I would think back to, again, who was I when I was a child, before I was conditioned by my parents and society? And today, what is something that I'm looking at that I'd love to do, but I don't have the time, or I have a fear of doing it, an activity, certain activity? So, what I suggest is that people kind of dip their toes into that. What's an activity that you've always wanted to do, but for whatever reason you haven't done it? Dip your toes, take a class, participate in a group where they're talking about it, read a book on it, or listen to a podcast on it. And also, I find that a lot of our insights and our creative insights, because as we discussed before, we're so busy, overwhelmed, we're pulled in all these directions. But in moments of quietness is where we get a lot of our intuitive nudges or something pulling at our hearts or an idea that will pop into your mind and you have no idea where it came from. So finding moments of quiet, whether that be at the gym, walking, in the shower. I notice that a lot of my insights just come to me out of nowhere in the shower.
Mhm.
Um, so that's where I would suggest people explore to start figuring out their why.
Yeah.
And also another idea is to sometimes we don't see things that others see. We can ask a close friend or family member for feedback. Where do you see that I most light up? Where do you see where I'm most happy?
Mm.
Or the opposite, where do you see that I get most frustrated or sad or disappointed? So we know that we stay away from whatever is causing that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful. It feels like the gauge is, I've learned that from my teacher, being in your purpose is, like you said, what lights you up. And I think where people get confused is they think that it has to look like has to be in the form of a career. And that's not necessarily true, right? Like your purpose is so much bigger than your job and how you're earning money. It's like your purpose is can be um, lived in how you're being.
Absolutely. Our purpose is so much larger than our career. I think a lot, especially in the United States, we tend to be defined by our career. I had another client say to me once, well, if I leave my career, it's a client from the luxury industry,
Hmm.
shared that, I feel like I belong in the luxury industry. And where's my feeling of belonging going to come from if I don't work in the luxury industry? Um, I've had other people tell me they're addicted to the money as well.
Mm.
So it's really, it's really so much larger than our career. We need to work, and most of us
Yeah.
to work. We need income. There's lifestyles that we have to support. It's just the reality of the society that we live in. But I'm a firm believer that once you find your why, you can make something around that where it would be profitable. And again, as I said, there's many people that want to stay in the career that they're in. It's
Mhm.
just another area of their life where they're lacking that why, or they can bring their why into their career.
Right. Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, we have Dominic saying hello. Wonderful. So how can people find you? Where is the best way to find you? And do you have what are your specific programs? I know you said you have like 3 6-month programs. Yeah, share with us.
So I have the Life Purpose program, which is either a 3-month program or a 6-month program. I do offer complimentary and commitment-free consultations to anybody so we can chat and see how I can help them. And that's a place where we would decide if they wanted to go into the program. It's a one-on-one program. I don't do group coaching. The reason why I don't do group coaching is because I find that my clients share very intimate experiences about their life that sometimes they haven't even shared with others. So,
Yeah.
because we're going through this transformation, so that's why I like to do one-on-one. And in that complimentary consultation, I explain to the client the benefits of the 3-month or the 6-month. I also have a program for anybody that's interested in analyzing their dreams and gaining insight into that. And then I have another program, which is basically either exploring your spirituality or really redefining it. And it's a program that I tailor. It's not a program that I have anything preset. I tailor to what that person wants to do.
Mm.
So they can find me, the audience can find me. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I post content there regularly. So I would love for you to follow me on LinkedIn under my name, Melissa Hidrobo. I also have a website for my business. My business name is The Stellar Soul. So my website is thestellarsoul.com. And
Awesome.
both places, you can sign up for a complimentary and commitment-free consultation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you for your time. And yeah, I just think that the more, and I say this many times, is that, each one of us matters. Each one of us is part of the puzzle of this incredible universe. And what we do and who we're being actually matters and makes a difference. And if we are in alignment with our true purpose and with our authentic self and who we actually are, and stand in that clarity, um, it just uplifts everyone else around us. And so I just, yeah, honor you and thank you for doing this very sacred, meaningful work. You know, I think so many people are waking up and realizing that they need to do something different, but maybe they don't have the support of family. Maybe they don't have partners that are supportive,
Mhm.
or maybe there's just so much pressure um, from the outside that they feel that they don't have room to change, and I just get this sense that you provide this really safe container for people to kind of unravel and find the threads of truth within them that were, what actually matters to them and what they want to create, because we are all powerful creators. Um, and as we all begin to awaken to that truth, then there's really nothing that can stop you from creating the life that you really desire. So
I appreciate so much what you're sharing, Tanya. I often think, and I know some people who are going through a very difficult time and they're struggling, and they're not my clients, just people from my life and people that I know. And they really don't understand why they're here. They're struggling with different aspects of life. And I want everybody to know that if you share a kind word, a smile, you hold the door open for someone, you just give them a couple of minutes of your time just to listen. I know that there's people who appreciate that so much, and you might not know how you've changed their life in that moment and
yeah,
what the greater impact of that small act of kindness has done to that person. So that's something so important for all of us to remember.
Yeah.
And Tanya, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching and for being here. And again, any questions you want to ask, post them in the comments, and I'm sure Melissa or I will respond as soon as we can. And have a beautiful rest of your evening. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Tanya.
Okay.
Have a great evening. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.